In the world of royalty, secrets are never just secrets. They're the foundation upon which dynasties are built and broken. And when Prince Harry and Meghan Markle made the unprecedented decision to step away from the royal family, the world thought they had seen it all. The media exploded with headlines, pundits weighed in, and royal watchers around the globe speculated about what drove them to this shocking move. But what the public didn't know, the one truth that was kept carefully hidden, was that it was not just Harry and Meghan who were making this bold decision. Their daughter, Lilibet Diana, was at the center of it all. Lilibet's birth in 2021, named after the Queen and Harry's beloved late mother, Princess Diana, should have been a joyous occasion. The birth of a new royal child was in many ways a beacon of hope, an opportunity to heal the wounds of the past. But beneath the headlines and royal well-wishers, there was a tension that no one saw coming. The media, obsessed with the couple's every move, already had a narrative in place, one where Harry and Meghan's decisions were seen as rebellious acts against a centuries-old institution. But what they didn't know was that Lilibet's arrival marked the beginning of a battle that would forever alter the course of the royal family. The shocking part, it wasn't just the couple's decision to leave their royal duties that caused a stir, it was their daughter's birth itself. From the moment Lilibet was born, the royal family's deep concerns about the future of the monarchy grew even more intense. And they weren't just worried about Meghan's American roots, or Harry's increasingly vocal criticisms of the monarchy. No, this time, the stakes were much higher. What was at the heart of the royal family's turmoil was the very existence of Lilibet Diana. She was a symbol of change, of new blood, and a potential challenge to a centuries-old institution that had relied on tradition, control, and secrecy to maintain its grip on power. But the royal family's fears didn't stop there. Behind closed doors, there was a battle over how Lilibet's birth would be perceived by the world. It wasn't just about her being born into royalty, it was about the legacy she represented. Prince Harry, known for his outspoken nature and defiant stance against the monarchy's expectations, had already begun to show that he would not play by the royal rule. But the real shock came when an insider revealed the truth about the family's behind-the-scenes battle to control the narrative surrounding Lilibet's birth. The royal family was desperate to keep the details of Lilibet's birth secrets, so much so that they demanded Harry and Meghan delay the announcement of her arrival. The reasoning, they feared the backlash, not just from the media, but from their own family member. It wasn't just the press's obsession with Meghan's background that made them anxious. It was the fear that Lilibet would represent a crack in the monarchy's image, an image built on decades of tradition and control. The monarchy was at a crossroads, and Lilibet's birth had become a symbol of that uncertain future. But Harry, in a move that would shake the very foundation of the royal family, decided to speak out. He revealed the lengths to which the family had gone to hide the truth, to control the narrative, to preserve the royal image at the expense of his family's well-being. It was a decision that would ignite a firestorm that would not only affect Harry and Meghan's relationship with the royal family, but would also have a lasting impact on how the monarchy would be seen by the public in the years to come. The truth is, Lilibet Diana's birth wasn't just about a new royal child, it was about the future of the monarchy itself. A new generation was emerging, one that refused to adhere to the old rules, and with it came a shift that no one could have predicted. And now, the secrets that were once hidden away are about to be exposed. This is the story of how Lilibet Diana became more than just a name. She became a symbol of change, a catalyst for a revolution within the monarchy, and a living, breathing reminder that the old ways of doing things may no longer be enough to preserve the past. Stay with us, because the untold secrets of Lilibet Diana are about to be revealed, and the truth will shock you. To understand the shocking truth about Lilibet Diana's birth and the royal family's reaction, we need to take a closer look at the couple at the center of it all. Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. Prince Harry, the younger son of Prince Charles and the late Princess Diana, was no stranger to the public eye. From a young age, his life was marred by tragedy and public scrutiny. He grew up under the shadow of his older brother, Prince William, and the burden of living up to royal expectations was never far from his mind. But as Harry grew older, it became clear that he was not content to live a life of conformity and silence. His mother, Princess Diana, had been a beacon of compassion and independence, and Harry in many ways sought to carry forward that legacy. Meghan Markle, on the other hand, was a woman born outside the royal fold, a successful actress with a distinct career of her own. Her entry into the royal family was met with both excitement and controversy. As an American divorcee of biracial descent, Meghan was a breath of fresh air to some and a challenge to others. The intense media coverage surrounding their relationship from the moment they went public seemed to fuel the couple's determination to create a life outside the stifling confines of royal expectation. When Harry and Meghan married in May 2018, it was not just a royal wedding, it was a modern love story that transcended old traditions. They were seen as a couple that could reshape the monarchy, bring it into a new era where individuality and personal freedom were celebrated. However, the public's obsession with their every move, the constant paparazzi presence, and the mounting pressures from the royal family itself quickly turned what should have been a fairy tale into a battleground. By the time Meghan became pregnant with their second child, the couple had already made waves with their decision to step back from royal duty. In January 2020, Harry and Meghan announced their plans to become financially independent and to distance themselves from the royal family's obligation. The announcement sent shockwaves through Buckingham Palace and the world, sparking debates on their motivations and the future of the royal family. Their desire for privacy was seen as a direct challenge to the monarchy's long-standing traditions, and the media's relentless coverage only made it worse. With their first child Archie already making headlines, Meghan and Harry sought to control how their second pregnancy would unfold. They were determined to shield their growing family from the constant intrusion of the press. And yet, despite their best efforts, the birth of Lilibet Diana, named in honor of both Queen Elizabeth and Harry's late mother, Diana, became an even bigger story than anyone could have predicted. Lilibet's birth came with its own set of challenges. The couple had already moved to the United States, far from the prying eyes of the British press. But that didn't shield them from the intense scrutiny they faced. And this time, the stakes were higher. The royal family, already struggling to maintain control over the narrative, knew that Lilibet represented a new chapter, one that might challenge the monarchy's centuries-old traditions. As whispers began to circulate behind closed doors, it became clear that the royal family had no intention of allowing the narrative surrounding Lilibet's birth to unfold on Harry and Meghan's terms. The stakes were much bigger than anyone had realized. This was no longer just about one family's desire for privacy. It was about the future of the monarchy itself, and Lilibet, in her quiet arrival, had become the key to understanding it all. Lilibet represented a new chapter. The calm that followed Lilibet Diana's birth was short-lived. What appeared to be a joyous occasion, a moment for the royal family to celebrate a new generation, quickly turned into the catalyst for a deeper, more complex story that the public never saw coming. The real shock came when an insider, someone with intimate knowledge of the royal family's inner workings, leaked a piece of information that would change everything. The royal family had not been just cautious about the announcement of Lilibet's birth. They had actively tried to control every detail surrounding it, but that was just the beginning. The truth was far more shocking. The monarchy had been secretly trying to delay the announcement of Lilibet's birth for months. Why? Because the royal family feared the consequences of her very existence. Lilibet was not just another royal child. She was a living, breathing challenge to everything the monarchy had stood for. Her birth in many ways symbolized a future that didn't fit within the traditional framework of the royal family. She represented change, and change was the last thing the monarchy wanted. The attempt to control the narrative around Lilibet's birth wasn't simply about managing public relations or preserving the family's image. It was about ensuring that the monarchy's very survival wasn't threatened. The more Harry and Meghan distanced themselves from the family, the more they were viewed as a destabilizing force. And now, with Lilibet's arrival, the stakes were even higher. It wasn't just Meghan's American background or Harry's criticisms of the royal system that posed a threat. It was their daughter, a new member of the royal family born into a world of unprecedented scrutiny and expectation. The royal family's attempt to suppress the news was not about protecting Harry and Meghan. It was about protecting the institution. The monarchy, with its centuries-old traditions, wasn't ready for the kind of change that Harry and Meghan represented. And Lilibet, as an innocent newborn, had become the symbol of that inevitable shift. What the royal family didn't anticipate, however, was how determined Harry and Meghan were to speak their truth. The couple, already frustrated by their treatment at the hands of the press and the royal family, decided to take matters into their own hands. In an unprecedented move, Harry publicly revealed the details of the royal family's attempts to delay Lilibet's birth announcement. The impact was immediate and explosive. The royal family, always careful with their public image, was now caught in a web of scandal. How could they have tried to silence the birth of their own grandchild, the daughter of the Prince of Sussex, no less? The press, already salivating at the potential scandal, turned their focus onto the monarchy's darkest secrets. And just like that, the carefully crafted image of the royal family began to unravel thread by thread. Lilibet's birth had done what no one had expected. It exposed the rift within the royal family, a rift that had been quietly growing for years, but had now, thanks to her arrival, reached its breaking point. The moment Prince Harry revealed the royal family's attempts to delay the announcement of Lilibet Diana's birth, the world erupted. What had been a well-kept secret, a quiet struggle within the palace walls, was now exposed for all to see. The public's reaction was swift and polarized. Some rallied behind Harry and Meghan, applauding their decision to fight for their family's privacy, while others took sides with the royal family, accusing the couple of airing dirty laundry in public. Inside Buckingham Palace, the reaction was no less intense. For decades, the royal family had been seen as a symbol of stability and tradition, a carefully orchestrated institution that valued discretion above all else. But now, the facade was cracking. Sources close to the royal family were reportedly shocked and disappointed by Harry's decision to speak out. The very idea that a member of the royal family would go public with such a personal issue was seen as an unprecedented breach of royal protocol. This wasn't just about Harry and Meghan anymore, it was about the institution itself, and the monarchy was forced to reckon with its most public crisis in recent history. Public opinion was torn. On one hand, many saw Harry and Meghan's actions as a necessary rebellion against an outdated system. After all, they had been subjected to relentless media attention and scorn, and now they were taking control of their narrative. On the other hand, there were those who felt betrayed by Harry, questioning why he would expose the royal family's internal struggle. Was it an act of defiance? Or was it the desperate cry of a man caught between loyalty to his family and his own personal beliefs? Meghan, though less vocal in the immediate aftermath, stood by her husband, supporting his decision. But the impact of their revelation was undeniable. Lilibet Diana, an innocent child, had unwittingly become the symbol of an ongoing battle for the future of the monarchy. As the dust settled on the explosive revelation about Lilibet Diana's birth, the world began to reflect on what this scandal truly meant, not just for the royal family, but for all of us. The story was no longer just about a royal baby or a family feud. It had morphed into a deeper exploration of power, privacy, and the cost of fame. At the heart of this conflict was not only Lilibet's birth, but the emotional and psychological toll it took on everyone involved. For Prince Harry, the weight of his decision to speak out was far from light. As a child of Princess Diana, he had witnessed firsthand how the media could destroy lives, how the relentless scrutiny could tear apart even the strongest of family. His mother had been hounded to her death by paparazzi, and Harry, despite his royal status, had been powerless to stop it. Now, as a father himself, he was determined to protect his children at any cost, even if it meant challenging the monarchy that had defined his life for so long. But with that decision came an overwhelming sense of loss. A loss of not only his family's approval but of the dream he had once held about the royal family. Was it possible to be a part of an institution that had so little regard for the privacy and well-being of its members? In Harry's eyes, the monarchy had failed to protect his wife, and now it was failing to protect his children. Meghan, too, bore the emotional burden of this fight. From the very beginning, she had been thrust into a role she never asked for. a role that came with expectations and limitations she wasn't prepared for. In the eyes of the royal family, she was an outsider, an interloper from another world. The media's portrayal of her as the villain in the royal saga only added to her sense of alienation. Now, as she stood by her husband's side, fighting for her family's privacy and dignity, she was once again thrust into the public spotlight. But this time, it was different. This time, she wasn't just fighting for herself, she was fighting for her children's future. For their right to grow up without being consumed by the media frenzy that had plagued her own life. As for the royal family, the reflection was far from easy. The monarchy, for all its grandeur and history, had been built on secrecy, control and tradition. But this scandal exposed the cracks in that foundation. How much longer could they cling to old rules in a world that was rapidly changing? How much longer could they hold on to the image of a perfect, unblemished family, when they too were just as human, just as flawed as the rest of us? The story of Lilibet Diana, though about a family dispute, had become a mirror for our own struggle. How far are we willing to go to protect our loved ones? How much of ourselves are we willing to sacrifice for the sake of privacy and control? These were questions that resonated far beyond the palace walls, questions that we all face in an era where privacy is increasingly hard to come by. The story of Lilibet Diana and the royal family's internal rift offers more than just a behind-the-scenes look at the monarchy. It reveals something far more profound about the world we live in today. In an age where privacy is increasingly hard to come by and where the pressure to present a flawless public image is ever growing, the royal family's struggle is a reflection of the challenges we all face in a world dominated by social media, constant connectivity, and an insatiable public appetite for scandal. In the past, the monarchy was an institution built on a carefully curated image of perfection and stability. Its members were, for the most part, shielded from the chaos of the outside world. But today, that veneer has all but dissolved. Social media, the 24-hour news cycle, and a relentless paparazzi culture have shattered the illusion of privacy, making it nearly impossible for anyone in the public eye, whether royal or not, to maintain control over their narrative. This isn't just a royal issue, it's a global issue. We live in a world where the line between private and public is increasingly blurred. Celebrities, influencers, and public figures all face the same battle that Harry and Meghan did. How much of themselves should they share with the world, and at what cost? The rise of social media has amplified the pressure to perform, to be real, while still maintaining an image of success and perfection. But this constant exposure comes with a price, as the stories of mental health struggles, burnout, and privacy invasions have become all too familiar. In many ways, Harry and Meghan's decision to take control of their narrative by speaking out about their experiences mirrors the broader societal shift we've seen in recent years. People are becoming more vocal about their struggles, more willing to call out the institutions and systems that have long held them captive. Whether it's the pressure to conform to beauty standards, the corporate world's demand for productivity, or the social media-driven need for constant validation, more and more people are beginning to question the cost of living under the spotlight. And yet, the royal family's reaction also highlights the difficulties of breaking away from traditional systems of control. It's one thing to reject the pressure of the public eye in favor of a more authentic life, but it's another to do so while still navigating the expectations of a centuries-old institution. Harry and Meghan's journey is in many ways a reflection of the tensions we all feel between the desire for personal freedom and the societal forces that seek to confine us. As Lilibet Diana grows up in a world where fame and privacy seem ever more intertwined, the question remains, will the battle for autonomy and self-expression be hers to fight as well, or will she too be consumed by the very system that tried to control her arrival? The story of Lilibet Diana, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle is far more than just a royal scandal. It's a tale of personal struggle, public scrutiny, and the battle for privacy in a world that no longer seems to respect it. From the moment Lilibet was born, she became a symbol of the changing tides within the monarchy, a living reminder that the world of tradition and control could no longer be maintained as it once was. For Harry and Meghan, the choice to step away from royal duties and fight for their family's privacy wasn't just about rebellion, It was about protecting their children, their future, and their right to live on their own terms. And in doing so, they have sparked a conversation that transcends royal boundaries. Their story is one that resonates with anyone who has ever felt trapped by expectation, by societal pressures, or by the public's relentless demand for perfection. As the world continues to change, so too will the story of the royal family. The once imposing walls of Buckingham Palace now seem a little less secure, and the institution itself appears to be grappling with the realities of a modern world where transparency and authenticity are no longer optional. But in the end, perhaps the most important lesson from this tale is one of human resilience. Despite the challenges, the betrayals, and the intense media frenzy, Harry and Meghan chose to protect their family above all else. They chose authenticity over conformity, and in doing so, they have left an indelible mark on history. As we reflect on their journey, we are left with a powerful question. In a world where privacy is becoming a luxury, how far would we be willing to go to protect those we love?